Hello, Casey Bork here. Let's talk a little bit about sand wedge design and how it can help you with your bunker play. The thing we need to notice about a sand wedge, and it's unique to all your other clubs, is called bounce. And if I look at a sand wedge end on, so this way, a sand wedge, here's the shaft, there's the club face, the flange or the sole of the club kind of looks like that. Okay, so there's the leading edge of the club. This part sits lower than the leading edge. So this situation, when a club comes down into the sand, because the trailing edge of the flange here strikes the sand first, it tends to allow the club to glide through the sand as opposed to digging in the sand. A typical iron, a normal iron, is going to be more like this, with minimal bounce. Sand wedge, the leading edge sits up off the ground, allowing the club to slide through the sand. And we need to utilize this in order to effectively get the most out of our sand wedge. Now, what you'll notice when we set up with a sand wedge, it has normally 10 to 14 or so degrees of bounce. Now, if we decide to keep everything constant and open the club face, as we open the club face, this leading edge that sits up off the ground moves up. So as we open the club face, so if I say that the club face is open now, there is in fact more bounce on the club than there was when the club was square. So the more bounce we have, the less likely the club is going to be to dig into the sand. This is very helpful in softer sand conditions. So when we're hitting in the sand, here's our ball. If we set up with appropriate bounce and we hit into the sand a little bit too far behind the ball, the club glides through the sand, pops the ball up and out. If we hit too close, of course, the ball pops up and out, but we've got a nice wide margin for error. If we go into a bunker with this club, or with a sand wedge not set up appropriately with the bounce set up where the club face is left open, the club will tend to dig into the sand. So here's our ball in the bunker. If we hit too far behind, the club will dig down into the sand. You'll plow too much sand and the ball will either stay in the bunker or fall short of your target. Then you start thinking, I got to hit closer to the ball, and every now and then you're going to blade one across the green. Your margin for error is very narrow when the club is set up to dig. So what we need to look at is our lie in the bunker. If the sand is soft, we need more bounce. If the sand is firm, we need less bounce. A ton of bounce in firm sand will have the leading edge hit the ball and blade it out of the bunker. So firm sand, less bounce. Soft sand, more bounce, and you'll have a lot more margin for error. Try it in your practice. Open the club face such that the grooves of the club are pointed at your left toe or even further, and try to hit some shots where the club feels like it's sliding through the sand. There's not so much resistance when the club enters the sand, and I think you'll see some improved results out of the bunker. Good luck with your game. If there's anything else you need, visit caseybork.com.